Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and a pro level match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're going to be checking out exactly what these top tier players have to show each other on Rosetta. Rosetta, a very popular map for the pros to play on because of course of this very beautifully rainbow colored high metal extractor central point that makes these matches very, very quickly. It's actually just a very high metal map in general. There's a lot of very valuable mexes all over the place that everybody's going to be vying for control over. A little bit of a pause and restart here, pardon me, but aside from that, we are going to get this match underway right here as our blue team leader.
Battle started.
Are we all right? For some reason the battle keeps pausing and unpausing. Anyway, I think I got the right replay. Shoddy, going to be the blue team leader right here, coming in at 49 open skill. My goodness, nearly at 50. Just a couple of points away is our blue team leader who's playing as Cortex and going to be going into a bot lab. We've already got three 3.0 metal extractors up and running, producing, well, 8.9 metal per second. Going to be more than sufficient to get that early game economy up and running, but expanding to get this geothermal and all of these mexes as well should leave our blue commander with plenty of economy to go in whatever kind of tech or creatures they want to put out on the battlefield. Rickalon going to be playing right in front of the blue team leader over here, all the way on the other side of the map, actually in the same position right here. Yeah, I believe, yeah, this map is mirrored. Oh, it isn't mirrored horizontally, it's mirrored vertically or diagonally. Anyways, the top left is where the bottom right is, and so forth and so on. So not in the same position, but in a similar position, at the very least lined up against the blue team player. It's going to be watch me do this. Playing as Armada here, which I'm excited to see. I'm a big fan of Armada, been playing a lot of Armada recently. Got some replays on Supreme Isthmus I'm looking forward to show you guys because I tried the grunt spam technique, but doing it as Armada with the pawns. And let me tell you, it's actually quite efficient now, as you can get those out on the battlefield and still manage to provide a decent economy by going for that reclaim strategy. If you've seen it before, it hinges around using your early game, using your early lab, going for one mex and then one early lab, and then wind turbines from your teammates in order to pump out early resbots and early units to go contest the center of that map. But that's not where we're at. We're on Rosetta, so we'll pay attention to what exactly the pros are going for here. Not interested in investing in wind is interesting. Watch me do this, going for some of those more expensive Armada solar panels. Not the end of the world, but it does certainly come with its cost. I expect top-notch players like this, though, clocking in at 48 true skill, to be completely on top of it as far as reclaiming those solar panels go as we get ready to move into the late game. But it's not the end of the world, because as you can see, we also have these mexes that we're going to claim up here. 2, and 1 metal extractors, so those will be very valuable as well. Aggression across the map. We do have a blitz moving across over here. Going to find a couple of grunts that are trying to laser it down. At the very least, it scouts Fiddler 112's base. Not the worst thing in the world. Definitely revealing the location of what player is playing where. Going to be important here. Looks like we also had a tech or some such going down over here as well. The Tan Commander, Scarecrow 100, doing an excellent job of scouting around in the backline with a scouting plane here. Fighter will eventually shoot it down, but in the meantime, figuring out where that blue team leader is definitely going to be a little bit more comfortable for the red team to know. That being said, it's where their red team leader is going to be up against. So sometimes we see the red team leader and the blue team leader on opposite sides of the map, like one will be on the top right and one will be on the bottom left, or vice versa. Usually what that means is we're in for a yin-yang type of match, and what I mean by that is that the entire match swings out in one direction from the top, and that's a terrible arrow, but you get the idea, and the other side swings out from the bottom. In this case, though, both of the highest level players are going to be on the top, so they should be butting heads. Should be really good to see. Now, Steel is going to be in charge of this metal extractor in the middle. That's 10 metal per second, is gargantuan. It's going to be tremendously important that we keep that up and running and we make sure that production is high as well. We're building some wind turbines in the back right here. Yeah, wind speed is plummeting. Still 6 right now, which is efficient for both Armada and Cortex, but as it continues to drop, those Cortex commanders are not going to feel great. Cortex wind turbines, slightly more expensive than the Armada variants. Not the end of the world, usually. But in maps where, yeah, things can definitely linger in the balance right there. It can be an expense that you don't really want to have to deal with. Construction turret coming up on the lab up on this high ground here. A little risky to build the lab up here, but it is usually what we see. Obviously, the lab up here is this metal extractor is going to be the prime bombing target for any bomber action coming across the map. It's just so valuable and so easy to kill. It means that if you build your base right next to it, they can potentially get way more value out of a single bombing run. Not that these solar panels aren't a prime target as well. Bombing those and closing them all up, their little clamshell coverings, keeping them all nice and protected. Yeah, it could definitely be a problem. Not the best engagement right there for the pink commander. I think we need to come in from a little bit more of a concave and we'd be perfectly focused to push forward. Metal Spice pushing forward right now, using those aggravators very nicely. We've got a heavy laser tower coming up right now. Still a minute and 40 seconds off from being finished, and those aggravators are pushing aggressively. We only need a couple of Janus connections in order to blast this to smithereens, though. There we go. One of those aggravators taking heavy fire. Oh, Janus is idled right here, though. Oh, no. At the very least, firing off its last shots to take down that LLT here, but giving its life for the Brown Commander Flogan, who is going to start boosting that heavy laser tower to get it up and running. I think the HLT makes a lot of sense here, especially since we're going up against bots. You know that they're not really going to be able to push into that HLT. It keeps you safe for a little while. Ah, Commander Sacrifice back here. I saw the Commander explosion. It was a little curious what was going on. It's a sacrifice, as Zhao and TA Ape both work together to try and blast down the defensive setup from Idiot. The purple commander on the southern side, who has set up quite a few of these Dragon's Teeth over here. Looks like they're all just Dragon's Teeth, no pop-up flamethrower turrets. Looks like we had one underway right now, but not going to come up in time. We do have another one coming up in the back line here. Those pop-up flamethrower turrets are really powerful, but there's only so much you can do against two commanders pushing in simultaneously. Just like that, the LLTs have fallen. Those aggravators making very short work, and this southern side is looking terrible for the blue team. Yeah, 2 versus 1 right here is going to be devastating. Oh, Zhao moves in for the D-gun. Gets himself surrounded, though. Those grunts put in a lot of work against that commander. That commander's down to 42%. Gonna be a little bit more risky to put that commander in now. Not the end of the world, but definitely risky. Zhao has to be careful. Just a couple of lucky connections from those aggravators, and that commander can fall quicker than you can catch it. Shuriken coming out now to try and paralyze a bunch of this. Love that play. Yep, our air player's on top of it. That's going to be Skag, who's controlling those Shuriken up in the air, trying to keep those safe. Anti-air comes up immediately from Zhao. Brilliant reaction time. TA Ape putting down the mexes, trying to continually expand the economy, and that's what this is all about. Claiming more room is only worth it if, of course, you're able to claim that room while you claim the enemy's metal extractors, right? Pushing into the enemy's territory is nice, keeps their metal extractors denied from them. Claiming their metal extractors gives you all of their advantage. That's what you should be aiming for, virtually all of the time. Love the army control here. Yeah, look at the way that these armies are woven together. The aggravators and the grunts, all of it working together in tandem right now to keep everything safe, firing away as much as they can. Beautifully done right now. Geothermal moments from completing. We are quite literally a couple metal away, like 60 metal or so. 20 metal away from completing the geothermal. Flamethrower turret pops up here as well. Wouldn't mind seeing more build power here, actually, just to repair a bunch of these units on the front. Because it's the Rocketeers, the aggravators, pardon me, Cortex Rocketeers. Oh, Zhao not paying attention, not paying attention! Boom goes the yellow commander. That's the connection the purple player was looking for. Brilliantly done right there with those Rocketeers. Only took a single second of elapsed concentration from the yellow commander, and it does mean that Idiot manages to get the kill right there on the yellow hero. D-guns down the rest of that wreckage, so Ape gets none of it while reclaiming a couple hundred for himself, and Idiot has set himself up quite nicely. That being said, D-guns, you know what? On point right there. Nicely done. That commander's very low, needs to be so careful. The other commander falls as well. What a turn of events right there as TA Ape's commander falls, as the overwhelming aggravator aggression means that both of those commanders go down, leaving thousands of metal for the reclamation right here, all to be funneled back towards the blue team. Gunslinger's pumped out now and going to be sent to the front from Blossom. The Seafoam Green commander is just going to be sending those gunslingers forward immediately, probably dumping them into control. I imagine handing them over to Idiot would make a lot of sense, but we could micro them as well. I suppose if you're just teching, mostly it's just an idle build order as well, so not really the end of the world. Northern side well contested by the orange player, who set up a defensive LLT line and very, very little aggression from Rakalon, the green commander here. Shoddy trying to push forward with an LLT wall, trying to set things up there as well. Vehicle is going to make very light work of any of the T1 static defenses, so this should all crumble as well for Fiddler. Essentially, the entire crux of this game has hinged around this southern side, where tons of metal lie barren on the wasteland here. And if we can continue being aggressive, pushing forward, reclaiming, eating, rebuilding, that's the name of the game, and it's exactly how you win in these sorts of situations. That Gunslinger having the time of its life, just sticking around in the fights, engaging and disengaging, healing, gaining experience, trying to blast away at the most precious targets that it can. Only so much it can do, but within that realm, quite powerful. Skirmish bot, auto repair, range increases with experience for the Gunslinger there. Looks like we're going for a killer bombing run too. Yep. Green fighters miss microed slightly there. Tan fighters are on top of it. Bombers are deployed. Bombs away means the build power will collapse right there for the yellow commander. Tan fighters still fighting their best, trying to shut down these bombers, as much of them as they can. You know what? Bomber's not actually achieving all too much. Nicely done by the air player right there. Scarecrow 100 is on top of it with the air pull, targets the bombers instead of the fighters, manages to shut down that bombing run that otherwise could have done immense damage over here and was denied quite healthily. We need to get these mexes back up and running. Once those are up and running, I would say this has been completely deflected. In fact, hard counter to say the very least. Gunslinger having a wonderful time pushing forward right here. Yeah, sharpshooters. Oh, shuriken. Shuriken. Hey, nicely done with the shuriken right there. One of the easiest way to shut down an early gunslinger, just a couple of shuriken and it goes down. Blasted to smithereens, but luckily for the purple commander, leaves behind no wreckage to be resurrected. Losing that gunslinger, it's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world right now, as a bunch of grunts do push forward. Shuriken in the air, again, trying to paralyze whatever they can. HLT also putting in some work right here. I think those shuriken are the name of the game, though. It's the reason why Cortex commanders, the reason why air players almost always go for Cortex over Armada. These early shuriken can save you from so much duress. Only a single metal extractor has gone down so far, and with proper shuriken control, it really shouldn't be more than that. LLT here to defend the base as well. A single grunt remains. Actually, there's another one over here. I missed this grunt over on the right-hand side. Actually killing 2 metal extractors and maybe gonna get a third. Yep, there we go. Nicely done. Beamer turret blasted down before the blitzes can get to it. Very, very nicely done on the defense right there, but a fair bit of aggression. Losing a couple of grunts like that to take down some enemy metal extractors, almost always worth it. And for Metal Spice, who's probably looking to get into a T2 transition. Yeah, we got the T2 mexes coming up and we're getting ready for T2. Definitely going to be well worth it to trade out those grunts to do some serious economic damage to your opponent in your lane. Fiend's burning across the battlefield now. Self-D. Ooh, self-D. Nice self-destruct right there on that Fiend. Man, I get so excited for the self-destruct micro, but it's so wonderful. There's so few things that you can get immense more value, like way, way more, 200, 300% more value out of. And the Fiend is definitely one of them with a little bit of self-destruct micro. So I'm always excited to see it. Beautifully done. I mean, you saw 2 of those Janets going down right there. 2 more than would have gone down. One of them was burned to death, but 2 of them went down in the explosion. Man, that gets me excited watching some pros micro their ever-living hearts out, trying to shut down the enemy here. Shuriken again in the air trying to shut down medium tanks. Love to see it because medium tanks are otherwise extremely difficult to shut down. Shuriken, in many ways, are the hard counter to medium tanks because of the fact that medium tanks, they have a lot of HP, but they don't do a crazy amount of damage. So they utilize the fact that they have so much HP that they can stay alive for so long in order to do damage. Shuriken essentially buy you time to shut them down, and that's about as hard of a counter as you could ask for. Fiddler 112 setting up a Persecutor right here on the front line. A pop-up Persecutor, opening its hatchery doors, its big swinging barn doors. LOT here and some riot tanks. Things to keep these artillery pieces nice and safe. It's only a couple of medium tanks. It's not the end of the world. Sheldon coming out are going to be very annoying to push into anyways, and I think Fiddler is going to be more than comfortable just dealing with that on their own. Spybots here revealing this army of T1 units that's dancing forward. We do have some Starlights coming up here as well, mobile Tachyon units. I've seen these win game, just 4 or 5 or 6 of them pushing forward with a T1 spam in front of them. They can win a game wholeheartedly. Especially before the T2 becomes prominent enough for them to really do anything. Just a couple of Starlight built in mass are able to dismantle virtually any army if they have the correct support in front of them. I think Sumos would be the right answer here for Kayuma. Going for Fiends is definitely not a bad option either, though. And now that the anti-nuke is finished up, it means all hands on deck are on board to produce more and more Fiends. Spit them out of this lab right here, which I wouldn't mind replaced by a Twitcher. Yeah, moving this lab back or just even reclaiming the lab and using a Twitcher to build these instead might be a slightly more efficient option. Whether that matters in the grand scheme of things, not necessarily the biggest of deals. LRPC firing away at this Geo right here. Geo, nicely reclaimed right here by TA Ape. Yeah, gonna reclaim that Geo, salvage the metal out of it, and just use it instead to build a fusion reactor in the backline. Nice choice right there. We'll love the idea of the plasma, the LRPC firing away right now. And of course, because it was reclaimed, there's actually you won't get any indicator that it's popped over here. So I wouldn't be surprised if that Seafoam Green Cannon remains firing over in this direction for a good long while here, trying to kill something that just no longer exists. Actually retargeted. Hey, nicely done right there by the Seafoam Green Commander Blossom. I would have forgotten to retarget that for at least 5 minutes. I would have come back later and been like, oh, is it dead? And then had it still fire away just a couple more times, just to be sure. Scuttle. Scuttle. Ooh, almost got a brilliant connection. Still managed to blow up a couple of units in some of those metal extractors here. Landing a Scuttle connection always feels wonderful, especially if you can self-destruct it. That's another one of those units that gains immense value from self-destructs. Any of the suicide bombers, the tumbleweeds, the bedbugs, the scuttles, they all benefit immensely from self-destructs. And here are the Starlights, getting ready to push forward. We do have a couple of lightning turrets mixed in with the walls right here, hiding themselves. As soon as something steps within range, they'll pop up, and that basically means they'll be blasted down just as well. Suddenly, these Starlights have hit a critical mass where they can start blasting away without essentially any repercussion. As long as you've got the units to put in front of them, nothing really is going to stop these Starlights from marching forward. Shoddy going for the self-destruct right here. Boom goes the commander, up in a ball of flame right there. Blows up tons and tons of those fiends, but I don't think it was enough damage to shut down this Starlight. Yeah, we've got the tick spam marching across the map here as well. Watch me do this with a very clear vision for what kind of a push we want to go for. Until this is hard counted, and we do have a nice hard counter here, by the way. The shuriken in a beautiful pattern right there. Wonderfully done. Going to move forward here to try and catch a whole bunch of these. We do have some anti-air turrets, just T1 anti-air turrets here to blast away at any of these shuriken. Hayuma setting up even more of them. If the shuriken bundle up, those AA turrets are going to blast them down super efficiently. Yeah, the AA is thick. The AA is very thick over here already. Southern side suddenly crumbled. A plasma generator almost completed on this hillside, but just moments before annihilation. We do have some twin guards coming up here as well, trying to start up some of those twin LLTs in order to blast down some of the oncoming grunts. Not a bad idea whatsoever. Shuriken's helping clean all this up as well, but those Sheldon are really the biggest pain here. At the very least, the shield generator does block their minuscule projectiles quite nicely at a significant energy cost, but it does deflect them quite nicely anyways. Platypus coming up here. Interesting. An interesting decision to go for Platypus. They're relatively weak, they're relatively slow, there's no water on this map, but they do have a laser beam. If there's one thing a laser beam's good for, it's of course penetrating those shields. Shuriken are bolt at this point. Oh no. Talk about BM. The Shuriken are bolt to paralyze the bases over here. Gonna lock onto anything that they can over on this side. Fighters fighting for their lives to try and keep these Shuriken up in the air. Tons of solar panels are depowered right here, the labs as well as some of the build power. At the end of the day, how much did that really achieve though? I mean, I suppose these mechs, do they go back to full efficiency? They sure do. Yeah, with the mechs going back to full efficiency as soon as they're unparalyzed, I wonder if that really was worth anything at all. Sheldon blasting away at the very least at that fusion reactor will pop the energy production for TAA, making it a lot harder for that commander to resume any sort of significant production at this point in the game. Despite it all, we've still ended up in a yin-yang match. The blue commander and the green commander on their last feed here. That's Raklan and Shoddy, both suffering as these Starlights continue to slowly tread their way forward. Their attack is, ooh, well, if it's not friendly firing, it's brutal. Near instantaneous burst of unbelievable damage. Makes it the perfect weapon for blasting through armor. Also great for sniping commanders. One of the reasons why they're so hard to shut down. Going for a D gun, viable on basically any other unit, especially those early T3 units that are very slow. Not so much the case against these. Whoop, Spybot. Oh, Spybot cleaned up just in the nick of time. Very, very close call there. Shiva firing away as well, but it's blasted down basically perfectly. The Starlights are designed for it. As long as those Starlights aren't chain reacting, it's not the end of the world losing a few of them. Wow, that's really nicely done. Shoddy hiding behind this little ridge over here. Taking cover behind the ridge and manages to D-gun down two of those Starlights. At this point, the Starlight ball has been well dismantled. We are producing more and setting him to the front line right here for the red commander. Skag, though, has moved forward and is going to start D-gunning down. Was already D-gunned down the base of TAA, thinning out any resistance that might occur over here. Sumo's also idly standing by. Idiot going to step forward and D-gun that pesky turret, meaning that there's basically no way for the hot pink commander to rebuild back into this game. We've got plenty of build power over here. We got tons of constructors, but with the enemy commanders in your base, it's certainly difficult to find an opportunity at that point. You know what? The middle of the map has been overwhelmed, though. Yeah, Zartank pushing forward with a spam of grunts right here. Nobody's paying attention. Oh no, where is the unit production from steel? It's completely gone. We need welders immediately. Welders on the front to shut down those grunts that are spamming forward. Feels already too late, though. The blue team with an insufficient reaction to this, I feel. Metal Spice contributing forces down to the southern side, trying to push through here before losing it all, I guess. But there's already units heading towards your base. At the very least, the LLTs are cleaning this up quite nicely. I don't like it. I don't like it. This feels like a risky gambit to just completely abandon anything in the middle of the map and just instead go for a full push on this left-hand side. That is 40 metal per second coming back out of a T2 metal extractor there, by the way. That's nearly enough to get up into T3. It takes about 70 to get to T3, so with some other metal extractors and with a little bit of energy conversion, you can pretty much get to some of those cheaper T3 units, Shivas or Marauders, that sort of a thing. Shuriken working overtime here to try and clean all this up as well. Finally, someone's taken notice, as it does look like Idiot has sent a couple of forces north to try and put a stall on some of this. Arbiter's dismantling static defense wherever they can. The Twitcher setting up some landmines over here. Oh, looks like they're going to be beautiful too. Yep. Units marching forward. Unsuspecting. And just like that, landmines take out a massive chunk of those units. Just a few Sheldon remain here. Sumo's still great for blasting away at these T1 units, though. More than enough HP and plenty of damage to deal with those T1 units, so those will clean them up quite nicely. Gunships in the air to try and deal with all this. Starlight's still pushing forward over here on the right-hand side. Karganeth now out to try and deal with some of these. Essentially, the Starlight is perfect for dealing with these early T3 units, but you do need enough of them to blast them down before they really can get any efficiency out of the unit. Oh, Spybot, nice. Managed to catch one of those. Catapult firing away from a long distance as well, very dangerous. Fiddler in a little bit of trouble here as the Ticks run forward. Ticks discover that commander. Uh-oh. Commanders go down in the middle of the map right here. Looks like that was Cannibal's commander going up against Steel's. Both of the commanders do fall. There we go. We do have some welders finally coming out here. Grunts, again, continuing to spam through the middle of the map. We have pulsars set up all over the place. We've got LRPCs firing into the middle of the map here. I think if we pop that build power, you're going to be in a fabulous position. We just don't have it quite yet. A-Bot's trying their very best here, but these are T2 gunships. They're quite sturdy and they're quite powerful, and they blast down those T1 anti-air units very efficiently. With the welders coming out, this T1 spam is not really going to have much of an effect. Shiva, despite it all, are pushing into this big ball of Starlights as well. Catapult getting real low. Does get blasted down here. Every shot from those Starlights does hurt. It hurts a lot. Nice Spybot connection, though. Now, without any Jaguars in front to stop spam from running forward, I think it's probably not going to be a profitable situation here anymore. Resbots reclaiming what they can of those T3 units and going into a T3 lap themselves. I don't know who's pulling into the lead at this point. The blue team with a slight economic benefit. Slightly higher economics. One Hero Fiend has made it in the backline. Finds the Aphis just moments from completion. Grunts now pushing into the yellow base. The southern side now left in shambles. Forces that were pressuring the middle of the map have been redirected after those welders were set up then. Means that no longer will the midsection be a vulnerability. An excellent read, an excellent map awareness right there. Understanding that the midsection of the map was weak and shutting down that metal extractor. We are starting up another T2 metal extractor. T2 fighters win against the T1. That should be no surprise, but these Resbots, oh my goodness, the Resbots greedily eating up all the metal over here. 6,000 metal available and all these fusion reactors and advanced metal extractors and all that good stuff. Wouldn't even mind seeing a Resurrect command, honestly. Just resurrect some of these advanced mexes. I think that would be pretty cool. Could get the fusions up and running too, but again, all that takes time and it's not really something that we have too much of a luxury to afford. Nuclear bombers up and running. Big fighter wave headed out right now from Blossom, ready to send the nuclear message across the map. Get this T3 gantry. Oh, shoot that T3 gantry down. Oh, I think you want to kill that T3 gantry. Yeah, there we go. Bombs away. Build power explodes. Whoa, anti-air is thick though. Hey, nice nuclear bomb directly into the orange economy right there. Pops all of the build power. Aphises still remain intact and there's still a single nuclear bomber remaining. Oh, nuclear bomber going in to finish the job. It's got to hit the danger or the damaged one. Boom goes the base of the orange commander. Beautifully done by Blossom. Manages to detonate that Aphis in the base of the orange commander after taking out all the build power over here. Means it'll be a good long while before any of those T3 units come up, and indeed the orange commander actually taps out of the game at this point. Southern side has been well cleaned up, and we can see a whole swarm of Resbots moving forward for one thing. Reclaiming their own corpses. They're just efficient like that. Gotta love it about them. eating up any of this wreckage that they can. Idiot is sending any forces forward that we can, building tons of fiends, building more fusion reactors, building everything and some more, anything that's available under the sun. I'm losing that base on the northern side. Definitely put the orange player and the red team as a whole on the back foot. Indeed, it looks like one by one they're slowly starting to lose any kind of hope. The maroon commander, the only one with a base that's left. The yellow commander still with a constructor or two, holding out hope on the southern side, but most of these are ghost ships piloted by no man left standing. Shiva's Karganis, the T3 is too efficient. And at the end of the day, I think it was the difference that we needed on the northern side to eventually get this game back under control for this northern set of heroes over here. Is now the last commander left alive. And only barely. Holding out on the southern side when all of his teammates' bases are crumbling. And I think we all know exactly where this game is going. Red facility is still well defended by, again, these ghost fleets of units. There we go. Finally, Zhao throws in the towel. And just like that, the blue team takes the win in this back and forth game of Beyond All Reason. At each other's throats for the entire game long. One of the reasons I absolutely adore watching the bros play. So action-packed. Thanks a ton for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the very next game. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like all things daily Beyond All Reason, and I will see you in the very next cast of Beyond All Reason. See you later, everybody.